It truly is the Hallmark card. If it's not the destination, it's the journey. Because it's the journey, it's the muck, it's the struggle. That's where we develop these superhero characteristics like grit and resilience and determination and courage and all those things that just make life so much fun. And then we get the thing and you go, okay, well, now what? So it's really not the destination. It's the journey.
Everyone, I am Melissa Forziat of Take the Doughnut, here to help you get inspiration and get donuts. I'm a motivational keynote speaker, and today I'm bringing you a Take the Doughnut interview with Valorie Kondos Field, Miss Val. I'm so excited for this interview. I'm delighted to be sharing this with you. Valorie Kondos Field is the retired head coach of the 7-time NCAA champion UCLA Gymnastics program. She is also the Pac-12 Coach of the Century, the author of Life is Short, Don't Wait to Dance, and a TED Talk speaker, and just a personal interest. Was known for choreographing UCLA floor routines and inspired me in the process as a gymnast of choreographing and getting me into the dance world after I finished gymnastics. So I have a lot to credit you with here, but welcome.
Thank you so much. I loved your invitation. I love your moniker. And as soon as you asked me to join you, I'm like, yes, life is short. Eat the donut.
That's what we have to do. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm so happy you said yes to this. And since we're on the topic, what is your favorite donut?
Old-fashioned glazed.
Ooh, I like it. You keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Now, I said just a bit about you to open up the conversation, but I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more to say. So what should we know about you? What do you want people to know about your story?
I think like the overarching part of my story that is interesting is that while, yes, have earned all those things that you shared, 7-time national champions, Pac-12 Coach of the Century, I'm in the UCLA Athletic Hall of Fame, on and on. I've never done gymnastics. And so my whole book and my talks and all of that are usually around not putting yourself in a box of all the things that you can't do, but making sure that you celebrate the things that you can. And I had someone tell me one time, don't ever outsource your incompetencies. No, don't ever outsource your competencies, but do outsource your incompetencies. And that allowed me, when I was coaching, to not feel like I should have an imposter syndrome, that I was a ballerina that was the head coach of a gymnastics program. And I had assistant coaches who were actually national gymnastics champions and Olympians, and I remember thinking really should be the ones in this position. Should be the ones as the head coach. Then I thought, no. Don't belittle and play small in your competencies. And so when I started really understanding what I brought to the table as a dancer, performer in this beautiful sport that's called artistic gymnastics, I realized, you know what? I bring something to the table that no other gymnastics coach in the country brings. Let's celebrate that. Let's make that our brand. And so that's what happened.
Oh, I bought every bit of that journey. You were speaking directly to my soul when you overcame your imposter syndrome and took on that role and made the UCLA program what it is. And so, as we continue in this conversation, people may be wondering, what is this Take the Doughnut bit all about? So let me reset for those who don't know. Take the Doughnut for me is an expression that means it's the same as Carpe Diem. It comes from this weird thing that happened for me in college where I left an actual donut on the table and it became an object lesson for me in what it looks like when you leave an opportunity behind. and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to take the donut. So I'll link a video here for those who want to hear that story. But this conversation is all about going after opportunity. What does that look like? What does it feel like in actual practice? So my first question on that to you is, how are you in general with going after goals? What is that process like for you?
Funny you say that, because I've hired a coach myself now, for this next chapter of my life. But I think anybody who's gone through a potentially life-threatening situation has a different take on life. So when I had breast cancer, was diagnosed with that, and realized that I wasn't going to die from that, I remember telling our student athletes, you know what? I know I'm not going to die from the tumor in my breast. However, none of us know how many more days we have to live. And that really just hit me. And so from that moment on, June 9th, 2014, I can honestly say to you that I wake up every morning, I take a breath, I look outside at the wonder that is nature, and I get so excited that I have another opportunity in this day to encourage and to feed all of my blessings, all of the things that I was born with, all of my passions, and to just literally, I mean, it's the figurative, get 1% better every day, not just 1% better, but 1% more inspired, 1% more curious, 1% more enlightened, 1% just learn something every day. And that is, when you say, take the donut, it is take that opportunity, because honestly, none of us know if we're going to be here tomorrow. So that doesn't mean go eat 12 dozen donuts. But it does mean, I always like to tell people, choreography, and speaking your language here, choreography is any intentional movement. It's not dance to music. It's, if I go pick up my glasses, this is my intentional choreography. Choreograph your life one intentional choice at a time. And if that choice is to take that donut, then you own it unapologetically.
I love it. Now, when you go after something big, because obviously you're able to wake up every day and feel inspired, but when you have big goals, something really major that you're going towards that perhaps is going to take a lot of time, what do you do to stay motivated in that process?
I have learned that if I don't set a schedule for myself the night before, I will get nothing done the next day. Nothing. And I think it's because I had my entire life on a schedule. I was either a dancer going to school, or I was an assistant coach or a head coach. And now I'm retired. I don't have to get up out of bed. I can take a nap 12 times a day if I want to. I can eat and munch all day long. If I don't have any structure that I'm not putting on myself. And I realized early on in my retirement, I suck when I don't have structure. And to be very serious about all this, I was waking up with low-grade depression and sadness. And I spoke with one of my colleagues, Sue Enquist, legendary softball coach, about it. And she said, that's because you're not going to bed and with understanding what your purpose is for the next day. So structure your days just as you did when you were the head coach. So that night, before I went to sleep, I wrote out my schedule hour by hour of what my next day was going to be. Guess what? I did not wake up sad or depressed. I did not take a nap in the middle of the day. I did not go to the refrigerator 12 times in 1 hour because I was bored and procrastinating. So for me, I do have very lofty goals. I'm writing a second book. I am executive producer and supervising choreographer for Simone Biles' Gold of America tour that's happening this fall. So there's all these big things out there. I just finished teaching a master's course at UCLA for the winter quarter on leadership and coaching. So there are big things out there. And what I'm learning in my 60s is I'm smart enough and capable enough to structure my days. Don't need to be able to afford an assistant, a personal assistant, a director of operations, all that I had before. I can do it myself. So just, I tell people all the time, stop waiting to be motivated and just discipline yourself to do it.
Wow. And I can't help but think, like, you're retired, but the number of things that you just rattled off that you're working on that are like full-time jobs for people is astounding. So I think it goes to show just how disciplined and motivated you are.
Yeah.
You know, one thing that comes up for me is, you started to mention it a little bit in your answers there, but when you go after a big dream or goal or something that's in front of you, a lot of times challenges come up for us. And I'm wondering if there's any specific kind of challenge that just keeps coming up for you no matter what you do. Like, what brand of challenge is your Achilles heel?
I love that. I love that. And I know exactly what it is. I have a hard time advocating for myself because when I retired, I had 3-4 speaking engagement requests a week. And so it was Miss Val was at the height of her game and celebrity and platform and all of that. And as the years have gone on and COVID hit, and I'm not out there, I just took a whole recess off of social media, just to feel what that felt like. I'm now having to build up my brand because of all these things that I'm doing. And it's really, 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 really hard to advocate for yourself. It's so hard. Like the coach, I just had a Zoom with him, and he's like, every single person you speak to, you've got to let them know that you're interested in speaking. I don't know what your structure is with this, but and it's not just advocating for myself, but it's doing the work behind it. Reaching out to people, sending them my package, my press kit, all of that. And that is definitely not easy for me to do. Not because I'm lazy, I don't want to do it, but just because I'm insecure in that area. I have imposter syndrome quite a bit. Literally, when somebody asks me to speak, my first thought is, why aren't they hiring Brene Brown? And then I go, oh yeah, well, she probably costs 3 times as what you cost. So fine, go hire Oprah or Brene. But I just did a speaking gig, and we touched on the subject of FOPO, fear of other people's opinions.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that, I know for myself, I'm not afraid of reaching out to people for hearing no, because I'm fine to hear no. I get afraid of reaching out to people because I'm worried of their opinion, and they're going to think, why do you think that you should have this job? Why do you think that you should be an executive producer for the tour? Why do you think that we should hire you for this speaking gig over somebody else? And one side of my brain goes, yeah, and I shrink. And the other side says, why not me? Well, yeah. And so I am being disciplined, as I just said, Melissa. I have my to-do list every day on putting myself out there, and as I say in my book, making the ask.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of us need to hear that. And I'm sure that's relatable to a large percentage of people who are listening to this right now. I am interested to go back in time a little bit here. What would you say is the biggest donut you've ever taken? Could be personal, professional, recent, long past. What comes to mind for you?
Well, the biggest donut I took was in 1982 when I was professionally dancing, and I heard UCLA had a job opening for the assistant coach for their choreographer, dance coach. And knowing nothing about gymnastics, knowing nothing about sport, knowing nothing about UCLA, I found out who the head coach was, called him up, told him my credentials, and he offered me a full scholarship to go to school if I hadn't gone to school because he didn't have a salary. And I was like, I'll take it. I'll take that donut. And so I took a leap of faith. I was only 22, just starting a professional career in ballet. And I was like, you know what? This opportunity is not going to come around again. So let's take it. Let's move to Los Angeles and let's figure this out. And I was at UCLA for 37 years.
Wow. I mean, what I mean, even in the middle of that process, I think people could say what an amazing journey, but to be able to look back on it now and to know that it started with that one choice is just amazing.
And then
to
people
me.
ask me all the time. One of the first questions I get when I speak and I open it up to Q&A is, how did you do it? How did you actually figure it out? And it honestly does not come down to more than effort and attitude. You bring effort's not just stupid hustle, just keep counting away. Effort isn't just checking the boxes. Effort is bringing passion and enthusiasm to every little thing. In fact, that's the working title of my next book, is Sweat the Small Stuff. And it's like, don't just sweat the small stuff, but find a way to enjoy the process. So you're bringing your effort, and then you're bringing that attitude of appreciation and gratitude and joy. And think about anything in your life. Anything in your life. You put those things together, and the alchemy of those two things will 99.999% of the time produce something great.
Beautifully said. You've mentioned a couple things throughout this conversation, but is there a donut that you're trying to take right now that you can talk about?
Oh God, there's a whole dozen donuts.
Yeah.
I am absolutely hell-bent on getting a documentary done of our 2018 national championship, because statistically it was the greatest comeback in sport history. It was also the year that the Larry Nassar sexual abuse scandal came out. So there was a lot that was packed into that year, and how our coaching staff on our team chose to find gratitude and be grateful and appreciation through all of it. How we came back on the last event, balance beam, in last place to win, it's like, I've pitched it to some producers, and they're like, even if we were writing this as scripted, we wouldn't put all this stuff into it. That actually did happen. So that's a donut. My book is a donut. Gold of America Tour is a donut. I've been pitching an urban nutcracker film since 2015. It got picked up by NBC for a 2-hour movie of the week. 2015, it was shelved for reasons. Then I have another project about the environment and plastic. I want it to be a Broadway show called Trash. It's fabulous. And I'm teaching a class at UCLA, and they want me to teach another class at UCLA, and there's another university that wants me to teach. So I have this very colorful box of donuts. Some have chocolate, some have sprinkles, some have glaze, and I love them all.
It's the best kind of box of donuts.
I remember though, my last year, I think it was, I don't know, one of my last years in coaching, and I started doing on top of it all, I was choreographing for SeaWorld, their circ shows, their summer every year. So a month of May, I was in SeaWorld for 30 years. And I remember somebody saying to me, kind of sarcastically, like, you do way too much. There's too much on your plate. And I said, you know what? Nobody's telling JLo she's got too much on her plate. Just because she has people and I have no people doesn't mean that I can't have the same dreams.
It's an interesting thing to say, right? Because who's to be the judge of how much is too much for you, except for you? It's interesting.
Somebody who is intimidated by the fact that I'm making them feel badly because they're sitting on the couch watching Netflix. I don't care how many Netflix you watch. I don't watch TV. I don't have time to watch TV. And so I heard something the other day that I really liked. It said that there's no such thing as too big of a goal. It's just the fact that a lot of our big dreams, we simply run out of time. Mm-hmm. So if I want to go be a Broadway star, I can go take singing lessons and get back in dancing shape and go audition for, and it may take me 20 years, and I might run out of time, but I'm still pursuing it. That's the whole thing, is that it truly is the Hallmark card. If it's not the destination, it's the journey. Because it's the journey, it's the muck, it's the struggle. That's where we develop these superhero characteristics like grit and resilience and determination and courage and all those things that just make life so much fun. And then we get the thing and you go, okay, well, now what? So it's really not the destination. It's the journey.
Oh, absolutely. Well, there are people out there who are on a journey of their own. They're trying to take a donut. They have it in mind, or maybe they've started and they're not sure what to do next. So let's sprinkle some encouragement. And what would you say to encourage people who know they want to move forward? They're just not sure how to get there.
I would say make sure that you structure some time in the morning of your day for stillness, because you cannot get clarity or creativity unless your mind is still, because there's too much stuff going in your brain. Even when people say, yeah, I go for a walk, I'm like, well, what are you doing on your walk? Oh, I'm listening to a podcast. Great. I love podcasts. But schedule some time in your day to really think of, and I'm not trying to be morbid at all, but if this was my last year on earth, what would I want to accomplish? Because one of the things I want to accomplish is I want to go to Italy. I've been to Greece 10 times because my family is Greek. I've never been to Italy. Well, I can keep putting that off and I may run out of time. And to get very, very clear with what makes your heart sing. Don't do things because you're supposed to. I spoke with a group of executive MBA students at UCLA, and I asked them what their definition of success was right now. And two women just broke down sobbing. And then they came up to me at the end of class and they said, that one question triggered the fact that I am 45 years old. I have a family and 3 children. And my definition of success is still pleasing my mother. And one of them said, the only reason I'm taking it, she said, one of them said, I have a PhD. And the only reason I'm taking this is to please my mother. So get clarity on what makes your heart sing. Get clarity on the fact, and this is very, very important, that you are unique. You are your authentic self. Your DNA has never graced planet Earth before. And when you die, it will be gone. So you're here for a reason. You're here for a purpose. And that purpose doesn't have to have tremendous celebrity and 500,000 followers on social media and make $1 million and live in a big house. That's not it. Your purpose is especially being of value in your community. That in itself is a full-time job that can make your heart sing. And so don't ever diminish that light inside of you through comparison to what other people are doing and by thinking what you should be doing.
Wonderfully said. I feel like you put those words straight into my soul. I loved it. And I hope everybody else did as well. For those who want to follow you on your journey and see all these things that you're working on, where can they follow you? What links should I put in the description?
Oh my gosh. Well, if any of you wants to be my social media handler, just let me know, because that's my next step. I got to hire somebody again. I am on Instagram mainly. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I don't even know my handles, to tell you the truth. I
will find them for you and I will put them in the description.
Okay. I can't stand it. And it's not because I can't stand it because I think social media is bad. I don't think social media is bad. It can be bad, but it can be great. It's just not my bailiwick. It's not one of my strengths. And as I said earlier in our conversation, Melissa, outsource your incompetencies. That's why I make myself crazy, because I can't produce a really great PowerPoint. I don't produce great social media content, but I can certainly hire somebody to do it.
Okay, well, there you have it. I mean, everybody, we're going to find the links for Miss Val. We're going to put them in the description, and please go check them out, because there's obviously a lot of great things coming and we all need to stay in touch with that. And if you liked hearing Miss Val's story, be sure to like and subscribe on this channel, because there's so many great interviews coming up, all different kinds of interviews with really interesting people to keep us inspired and motivated in our lives. And in the meantime, Miss Val, thank you so much for taking this time and talking with all of us about taking the donut, about going after opportunity, and giving us a little snapshot of what it looks like for you in your life.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Melissa. I really do. Because people think that, I'm just skating through life. No, I'm grinding. I'm grinding right now because I want to be able to choreograph my next chapter.
That's wonderful. Well,
Thank you.
Okay, everybody,
Thank
you
you.
know what to do. Get inspiration, get donuts. Bye.